You are currently living in a state of chronic physiological siege, and your brain is actively killing you because it believes you are being hunted. Stop trying to blame your bad mood or your sense of alienation on some vague stress, a lack of social skills, or a bad diet. Those are comfortable, manufactured lies the modern world feeds you to keep you productive, compliant, and quiet. The reality is far more visceral, terrifying, and biologically concrete. Your central nervous system has identified your modern, sedentary, hyper-stimulated lifestyle as a terminal environmental threat. It is executing a defensive lockdown that is systematically destroying your capacity to live, to thrive, and to function as an apex organism. Every time you feel that hollow, gnawing ache in your chest while you stare at a glowing screen, you aren't just feeling lonely or bored. You are experiencing the primal chemical signals of a life form that has been cast out of the pack and left to rot in the open savannah. This is not a metaphor. This is not a psychological abstract. This is an autopsy of your daily existence, and you are the primary subject on the table, stripped bare by the cold light of evolution. For 50,000 years, the human genome was forged in the absolute, razor-sharp, unforgiving reality of the Pleistocene. In that world, there was no such thing as an individual in the modern sense. You were a biological component of a tribe. Survival was not a mindset you cultivated. It was a physical, binary calculation. If you were with the tribe, you had a fighting chance at existence. If you were alone, you were dead meat, literal fuel for the apex predators that owned the darkness. Your brain evolved the tribal detection module, the most sophisticated, high-stakes radar ever engineered by natural selection. This system doesn't care about your corporate job, your rent, or your personal brand. It operates on one non-negotiable law: scan for the tribe or trigger the kill switch. In the wild, safe was not an abstract concept. It was the visceral, overwhelming sensory input of your kin, the smell of their skin, the heat of their bodies huddled against yours, the rhythmic, low-frequency sound of their voices filtering through the camp at night. When that radar locked onto the tribe, your brain flooded your veins with oxytocin, serotonin, and dopamine. You were safe. You could sleep. You could heal. Now, look at the life you've built for yourself in the digital age. You are hyper-connected to millions of people via fiber optic cables and satellites, yet your tribal detection module is screaming that you are utterly, terrifyingly alone. You spend your day staring at a high-resolution interface, absorbing the static, filtered images of 1,000 strangers, and your brain interprets this digital data as a complete, catastrophic failure of the tribe to protect you. It doesn't see your followers. It sees a void. It sees an absolute absence of biological life. And because your internal radar cannot distinguish between an office cubicle and a barren desert, it concludes that you have been abandoned. It activates the internal alarms. It releases a toxic, high-concentration cocktail of cortisol and norepinephrine into your system, effectively putting your body in the exact same state of frantic, terrified hyper-alertness as a hunter who has lost his pack and knows that something with sharp teeth is watching him from the shadows. You feel like you are being hunted because, in the eyes of your DNA, you are. This isn't just about feeling blue or having a rough week. This is a neurochemical collision of epic proportions. Your brain receives high-speed social signals, visual input that mimics faces, eyes, and complex expressions. But it receives zero biofeedback. No touch, no scent, no heartbeat proximity. This is a massive, contradictory shock to the central nervous system. It is like eating a meal that looks real, but contains 0 calories. You are starving, even while you are consuming endless content. Your mirror neurons are firing into a vacuum, desperately searching for a synaptic hookup that never arrives. In the wild, when you saw a tribe member, you mirrored their micro-expressions, their breathing,
their pheromone release. This created a profound biochemical sync. Today, you stare at static faces. Your brain waits for the sync. It never happens. And the resulting chemical frustration causes your cortisol levels to spike.
Your brain enters a state of vigilance without discharge. You are constantly scanning for a biological response that never manifests, keeping your sympathetic nervous system locked in a permanent grinding gear. You are burning through your precious metabolic reserves, trying to solve a problem that the digital world simply cannot resolve. You are an elite endurance predator forced to live like a battery, trapped in a synthetic cage that feeds the wrong data into your flawless evolutionary software. The chronic fatigue, the suffocating brain fog, the nagging sense of emptiness, these are not defects in your character or your willpower. They are the defensive reactions of an ancient blueprint trying to save you from a reality it cannot comprehend. You are trying to survive in a high-tech zoo, and your biology is convinced that you have lost the pack. And when the pack is gone, your body begins to shut down. You are living as a prisoner inside a biological paradox. You are hyperconnected to data, but completely disconnected from your own species. Your ancient radar is raking the digital landscape for a signal that never comes, and the result is a chronic, low-grade trauma that wears you down day after day, turning your potential into paralysis. We are documenting the fall of the modern human, and this is the only place where the truth isn't sugar-coated for your comfort. We are creating a dossier on the human condition, recording the bugs in our source code. We are the resistance against the biological deception that keeps you in this state of permanent, low-level panic. Share this investigation. Spread the word. We are the ones who refuse to sleepwalk through the decay. And the only way to break the glitch is to understand it. We are dissecting the digital prison, and we are just getting started. If you are tired of the exhaustion, if you are tired of the emptiness, then listen closely. This is where the recovery begins. Subscribe, engage, and stand by. You are an apex predator trapped in a sensory deprivation chamber. For millions of agonizing years, human hominids evolved as the ultimate endurance machines. Biological masterpieces engineered to track, chase, and outrun megafauna across hundreds of miles of blistering, hostile landscape. We were born to move. We were born to burn fuel in explosive, high-stakes bursts of physical violence. But today, you lock yourself inside a climate-controlled cubicle, sit motionless in a cheap ergonomic chair, and stare at a glowing rectangle for 8 hours a day. You have broken the machine. There is no kinder way to phrase this reality. The modern socio-economic landscape is not a triumph of human progress. It is a profound, unregulated biological crime scene, and your physical body is the primary victim of this silent, daily atrocity. For eons, acute physiological stress had a singular, non-negotiable resolution: physical action. When Proto felt his pulse racing and his adrenaline surging, it never signaled an abstract existential crisis about a bank account, a looming deadline, or a performance review. It meant one undeniable, life-or-death reality. He was either desperately chasing down his next meal, or sprinting with every ounce of his remaining strength away from the jaws of a predator. The ancestral stress response was never a psychological state. It was high-octane chemical fuel injected directly into your skeletal muscles, demanding immediate, violent movement. You ran until your lungs burned, you fought until your knuckles cracked, or you died on the spot. There was no middle ground. The massive chemical storm inside your blood always ended with extreme exertion. This muscular activity naturally oxidized the excess glucose, burned off the toxic systemic waste, and signaled to the nervous system that the threat was neutralized. Only then could your body descend into a state of genuine, deep, restorative rest. Now, observe your typical Tuesday. You sit motionless, gripped by the claustrophobic anxiety of a traffic jam. Or you stare blankly at a passive-aggressive email from an insecure manager. Your smartphone flashes. A critical deadline has slipped. Your credit score is down. Your digital metrics are failing. Your highly evolved psychological mind perceives these abstract, modern threats as a direct, terrifying hazard to your social status and survival. The ancient amygdala, buried deep in the dark recesses of your temporal lobes, sounds the catastrophic emergency alarm. This survival-driven piece of tissue does not know what an email is. It has absolutely no conceptual understanding of corporate hierarchies, credit scores, or Zoom meetings. It only speaks one ancient, brutal language, the dialect of immediate danger. It commands your adrenal glands to dump a toxic, aggressive cocktail of cortisol and adrenaline straight into your bloodstream. Your blood pressure spikes. Your heart beats violently against your ribcage like a trapped animal. Your airways dilate, your liver dumps sugar reserves into the blood, and your lungs expand, desperate to feed maximum oxygen to your muscles for a life-saving sprint. Every single biological alarm system in your anatomy is screaming for physical action. But you do absolutely nothing. You cannot run away from your desk, and you cannot physically assault your corporate problems. You are forced by social decorum to sit completely still. You grip your plastic mouse, swallow your instinctual rage, and breathe the stagnant, recycled air of an air-conditioned room. Your muscles remain unnaturally stationary, while a toxic hurricane of survival chemistry rages unresolved inside your veins. The adrenaline has nowhere to go. The glucose floats aimlessly through your vascular system, damaging your blood vessels and forcing your pancreas to pump out insulin to clear the unspent energy. This is the moment where the evolutionary software glitches out. In the raw wilderness, experiencing high terror combined with absolute physical immobility meant only one thing. You were trapped. You were pinned, helpless, under a fallen rock, or hiding in paralysis from a predator sniffing outside your cave. If you are terrified but frozen, your DNA assumes you are under a deadly siege. The default survival protocol for an environmental siege is absolute energy conservation. Your genome assumes you are waiting out a prolonged famine or a catastrophic winter. It concludes your only hope of avoiding starvation is to burn as little fuel as possible before the danger passes. To save you from this imaginary modern famine, your system pulls the master power plug. It systematically downregulates your entire metabolic output, forces your thyroid to crawl, and buries your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain you need to think, under a thick, suffocating layer of protective, cognitive fog. This fog isn't a defect. It is an intentional defensive shield. Your body is trying to save you from starvation by turning off the lights in the upper floors of your brain to hoard calories. You wake up exhausted every morning not because you are lazy, but because your body is fighting a secret, daily war against a synthetic reality that didn't exist when your genetic blueprint was written. You are trying to survive in a digital empire, using the biological engine of a creature built to sit quietly in the dark and wait for the winter to end. This is the true ghost in your machine. You are experiencing systemic atrophy. We are dissecting the digital prison, and we need everyone who is actually awake to join the investigation. If this hit home, if you felt that crushing office fog and finally see it for what it is, leave a comment, share this with someone trapped in the same cubicle, and let the algorithm know that people are ready for the truth. We are the archive. We are the ones who refuse to be batteries for a system that doesn't understand us. We keep investigating, and we refuse to yield to the fog. Dopamine is the most profoundly misunderstood molecule in modern popular psychology, and this misunderstanding is the primary reason you feel like a ghost in your own life. The internet constantly tells you that it is the chemical of pleasure, a tiny, glorious neurochemical reward your brain gifts you when you eat a cheat meal, buy a new pair of shoes, or get a vanity like on a social media photo. That is a comforting, utterly childish, and dangerous lie. In the forensic archive of our biology, dopamine has absolutely nothing to do with pleasure, satisfaction, or joy. It is the molecule of anticipation, intense motivation, and above all else, energy mobilization. It is a harsh biological whip. In the primeval wilderness where Proto lived, your brain did not secrete dopamine because you had successfully achieved something. It flooded your nervous system because you recognized a sensory pattern that suggested a reward was potentially close. It was the evolutionary trigger that commanded your body to immediately unlock its strictly guarded energy reserves. When Proto caught the faint scent of an animal on the wind, or spotted a distant cluster of wild fruit hanging from a branch, his brain did not experience happiness. It experienced an aggressive, sharp, and highly concentrated spike of dopamine. This chemical surge instantly overrode the energy bank's default laziness protocol. It dilated his pupils, focused his attention like a burning laser beam, and unlocked a massive wave of clean, raw physical energy. It literally forced him to move his limbs. The dopamine explicitly told his body that the upcoming caloric payout was worth the metabolic investment. It was a direct, legally binding contract between desire and severe physical effort. No effort, no reward. That was the unyielding baseline physics of the Ice Age landscape. Every single drop of dopamine Proto ever experienced throughout his brutal lifetime had to be paid for entirely in advance, with heavy, exhausting muscular labor. If he wanted the sweet taste of wild honey, he had to risk his life climbing a dangerous cliff face while being violently stung by angry insects. If he wanted the high-protein reward of fresh meat, he had to physically run down a prey animal until his legs turned to rubber and his lungs filled with burning dust. The reward was always hidden behind a massive, intimidating wall of physical suffering. Because of this harsh reality, Proto's neurochemistry stayed in a state of perfect, pristine equilibrium. His dopamine receptors were incredibly sensitive because spikes were rare, hard-earned events. When he finally achieved his goal, a completely different set of chemicals took over his brain, endorphins and serotonin, which brought physical satisfaction, numbed his pain, and allowed him to safely slide back into that deep, protective laziness inside the security of his cave. The cycle was clean and functional. You want something? You suffer physically to get it. You get it. You rest and fully recover. The neural circuitry was perfectly calibrated to match the physical environment. Now, welcome to the modern psychological slaughterhouse. We have completely, violently severed the sacred ancient link between dopamine mobilization and physical effort. We have engineered a synthetic environment where you can access cosmic, unprecedented levels of dopamine reward while remaining entirely, unnaturally motionless on a memory foam mattress. You do not need to track a wild beast for 3 agonizing days to feel the visceral thrill of the hunt. You just open a dating app or refresh a digital social media feed with a flick of your thumb. You do not need to risk your life scaling a crumbling cliff for sugar. You press a couple of buttons on a glass smartphone screen, and a stranger delivers a hyper-palatable, chemically engineered bomb of processed calories straight to your front door. Your brain is exposed to a relentless, non-stop artillery bombardment of cheap, effort-free dopamine signals every single minute of the day. Video games, endless scrolling, online pornography, algorithmic notifications. Each one perfectly mimics the evolutionary triggers of crucial survival rewards. Your ancient brain looks at the glowing screen and sincerely believes you are winning 1,000 survival battles every hour. It thinks you are conquering vast territories, gathering endless resources, and securing reproductive dominance over your rivals. But your physical body is just sitting in a dark, stagnant room, slouched miserably over a plastic desk, slowly rotting from inactivity. This unnatural overstimulation causes an immediate, catastrophic systemic crash known as neurochemical bankruptcy. Your brain is a brilliant survival homeostat. It quickly realizes that this unnatural torrent of dopamine is highly dangerous, threatening to completely burn out your delicate neural pathways. To protect itself from the chaos, it executes a brutal, uncompromising countermeasure. It downregulates your dopamine receptors. It pulls them deep inside the cell walls, effectively making you numb to the signal. It is the biological equivalent of plugging your ears during a deafening, continuous explosion. Because your receptors are fried, the normal, baseline things that used to mobilize your energy, like cleaning your room, reading a complex book, or building a career, no longer register. The whip no longer hurts, so the horse refuses to move. You find yourself trapped in a state of chronic, heavy anhedonia. You feel empty, unmotivated, and perpetually exhausted because you have completely drained your neurochemical fuel tank. You sit on your couch, looking at your endless digital options, unable to summon the raw energy to do anything productive. You aren't lazy in a moral sense. You have simply broken the very mechanism your body uses to generate physical motivation. This profound exhaustion is further compounded by the absolute destruction of our ancestral sleep architecture. In Proto's world, the sun was the undisputed, tyrannical master of behavior. When the sun went down over the horizon, the savannah turned into a pitch-black, deeply terrifying kingdom of apex predators. Proto did not stay up late to ponder his existence, watch entertainment, or check his social status. He crawled into the deepest, darkest corner of his cave, pulled a heavy animal fur over his shoulders, and went to sleep. The total absence of light signaled his pineal gland to flood his brain with a massive, clean wave of melatonin. This hormone did not just make him sleepy, it initiated a deep, systemic cellular repair protocol. It cleared out metabolic waste from his brain tissue, reduced systemic inflammation, and reset his nervous system for the next day's battles. His sleep was deep, uninterrupted, and perfectly aligned with the natural rhythms of the earth. Today, we live under a regime of perpetual, artificial daylight. We carry miniature, blindingly bright suns inside our pockets and hold them inches from our faces at midnight. The cold, blue light emitting from your smartphone screen hits the specialized photoreceptors in your eyes and sends a panic signal straight to your master biological clock. It screams that it is noon in the middle of the savannah. It tricks your brain into thinking the hunt is still on. As a direct result, your melatonin production is instantly strangled. Even if you manage to force yourself to close your eyes, your sleep architecture is ruined. You spend your nights trapped in a shallow, fragmented state of semi-consciousness. Your brain never enters the deep, restorative phases of slow-wave sleep required to wash away the toxic debris of daily stress. You spend 8 hours in bed, but you wake up feeling like you were hit by a truck. You are chronically tired because your biological engine never truly cools down. You are trying to run a prehistoric machine 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, under neon lights, completely cut off from the darkness that heals it. You are locked in a vicious, exhausting loop. You use cheap rewards to escape the fatigue caused by those very same rewards. Your ancient DNA is running a broken survival protocol in a world it was never meant to navigate. The machine is suffocating. Every hit of screen time, every midnight scroll, every effortless calorie is a withdrawal from a bank account that has been empty for years. You cannot fix a systemic biological mismatch with willpower alone. You are fighting a war against 50,000 years of flawless evolutionary programming.
It is time to stop the dopamine debt.
You have spent the last duration inside the cold, forensic light of this archive. We have stripped away the comfortable illusions of your modern existence. You now understand that you are not broken, lazy, or inherently deficient. You are a biological entity of immense complexity, a machine of endurance and survival, currently running a software architecture that was finalized in the heat of the African savannah. Yet you are trying to execute this code inside a hyperstimulated, sedentary, synthetic cage. The symptoms you feel, the fog, the anxiety, the chronic bone-deep exhaustion, are not errors. They are the frantic, defensive reactions of an ancient hardware trying to make sense of a reality that is fundamentally hostile to its design. You are living in a state of continuous biological war, and the first step to winning a war is recognizing that you are, in fact, under attack. But understanding the trap is only the beginning. The diagnosis is complete. Now, we must discuss the protocol of return. The most dangerous lie the modern world sells you is the promise of an easy fix. You are bombarded with advertisements for productivity hacks, biohacking supplements, and endless streams of self-help content, all of which suggest that you can reclaim your vitality without changing the fundamental conditions of your life. This is a trap. You cannot optimize your way out of a system that is actively stripping you of your humanity. There is no pill, no morning routine, and no app that can override the physical, non-negotiable requirements of your DNA. The protocol of return is not about convenience. It is about the reintroduction of controlled, intentional friction. You must voluntarily subject yourself to the discomforts that your ancient biology was designed to navigate. If you refuse to do this, your body will eventually impose this discomfort upon you through illness, atrophy, and mental collapse. The modern world coddles you into decay. The protocol demands your resurrection through voluntary struggle. The first pillar of this protocol is the absolute restoration of physical agency. Your body does not understand the abstract concept of exercise as a separate, optional leisure activity. To your genome, exercise is the price of survival. You must stop viewing movement as something you do to get fit and start viewing it as the baseline maintenance required to prevent cellular decay. You need to introduce high-intensity, heavy, and raw physical exertion back into your daily existence. It does not need to be refined. It does not need to be social. It simply needs to be difficult enough that your brain recognizes it as a real-world task. Lift something heavy until your muscles scream. Run until your lungs burn. Carry weight over a distance. Do this until your biology finally realizes that the threat has passed and the metabolic debt of the day has been paid. When you end your day with the physical sensation of exhaustion, your nervous system finally gains the permission to shut down the survival alert. That is when you will find the deep, restorative sleep you have been starving for. You are not meant to sit for 16 hours a day. You are a moving, breathing apex organism. Reclaim your right to be tired in the right way. This is not optional. This is the baseline requirement for maintaining your sanity in a world that thrives on your stagnation. The second pillar is the radical, intentional cultivation of the tribe. You have been gaslit into believing that you are an individual who can thrive in complete isolation as long as you are connected to the digital void. This is perhaps the most destructive myth in human history. Your neurobiology is wired for physical proximity, eye contact, pheromone exchange, and the shared rhythm of physical presence. A digital interaction is a sensory ghost. It provides the visual input, but it denies the biological feedback. To fix this, you must begin to curate a physical, tangible reality. You must seek out individuals who are also awake, people who are tired of the decay and are looking for a way out. This is not about networking or social climbing. This is about building a survival unit. You need to experience the rhythmic, low-frequency safety of being around others without the interference of a screen. If you cannot find this, create it. Start a group, host an event, or simply start conversations with strangers in the real world. You must consciously build the infrastructure of your tribe before the digital void swallows the last of your genuine human capacity. This is an act of defiance. Every real-world connection is a strike against the atomized, isolated hellscape that the system wants you to inhabit. The third pillar is the mastery of your own attention. You are a prisoner in an attention economy that is weaponized against your evolutionary survival circuits. Every notification, every endless scroll, and every dopamine-fueled interface is a targeted attempt to steal the limited energy your brain uses to construct your reality. You must build a wall around your consciousness. You have to become a ruthless censor of your own input. If it does not serve your physical health, your genuine knowledge, or the growth of your tribe, it is an enemy. This is the hardest part of the protocol. It requires you to sit in the silence and endure the withdrawal symptoms of your dopamine addiction. When you cut off the infinite stream of cheap rewards, you will feel empty. You will feel terrified. That emptiness is the space where your actual self, the Proto, is waiting to return. Do not fill that space with digital noise. Let the silence be. Let it force you to confront the reality you have been fleeing. This is where your sovereignty is reclaimed. We are building something here in the archive. We are not just making content. We are documenting a rebellion against the synthetic erosion of the human spirit. This isn't for everyone. It is for those who are ready to face the autopsy of their daily lives and do the work to resurrect themselves. If you have followed this investigation, you are part of a very small group of people who are actually awake. You know the truth now. The world is designed to make you a compliant, exhausted battery. But you also know the exit strategy. You are the architect of your own return. If this series has been the brick that finally shifted your perspective, if you are finally ready to turn off the noise and start the physical work of reclamation, then you need to act. Subscribe, not because we want the numbers, but because we need to know who is in the fight. Leave a comment detailing the first concrete step you are going to take today to reintroduce friction into your life, and share this with someone who is currently lost in the maze. We are the archive of the lost, and we are now the leaders of the return. The system will try to bury this truth, but you are the carrier of the message. We are done analyzing the machine. Now, we start living outside of it. The protocol of return begins with your decision to wake up. See you in the next phase of the resistance.